Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Invest for More. We're back at an awful eightplex I bought about a month ago, and things are much different than they were before, and I was very surprised to find the things we found. In fact, we'll be able to show you another unit and talk about why I made a mistake on how I'm dealing with these tenants as well. I paid $595,000 for this eightplex, which is actually extremely cheap for an eightplex in our area in northern Colorado, but of course there's a reason. They're all one bedrooms. They're not huge, and they're in really, really rough shape. In fact, I'm surprised that tenants were living in many of these units. So here's what it looked like when I first bought it, and you might notice something very, very different. This was during the week, just like it was today. There were cars all over. Well, we showed up today, and there was one car there. And I'm like, ooh, wonder what's going on here. Could be a good, could be a bad thing, because we are hoping the tenants will move out so that we can go through and redo this whole place. There's a lot of work to be done, including probably some pest remediation because there are cockroaches in most of the units, and it's tough to get those out with people living there. So what we did in this situation, which I think was a mistake now that I am looking back on it, was we basically told the tenants they would have free rent. You don't need to pay us anything. Just can you please move out in the next 2 to 3 months, pretty much is what we said. And they said, okay, that's fine. Like, we don't need to pay rent. I'm like, nope, they're just having rent deducted from their paychecks before, because I think who they worked for owned this building and just kind of provided it sort of as a perk, but still charged them a little bit for rent. They had no leases, no deposits, just very tricky situation as a landlord coming in to buy this property. So what we should have done, and what I usually do, is we usually do cash for keys. And there's a reason why we do cash for keys, and we should have done it here, but for some reason we decided not to. And with cash for keys, you have them continue to pay rent, and then maybe after 2 months, 3 months, a month, whatever you decide, you say, hey, I'll pay you $1,000, $2,000, whatever it is, when you move out. As long as the property is clean, all your stuff is out, you've paid rent up to that point, here's an extra $2,000 to help you move and find a new place. So that usually works a little better because they have some incentive to move their things out and to let you know if they're moving out, which is the situation we're running into right now that we'll talk about and show you. The other interesting part of this building is we heard that this top floor was actually the old train depot for Alt Colorado. And I have some more evidence that might support that as we go into one of those units. And we'll also show you what this room looks like now too. This is what it looked like before, and that will also kind of give us some evidence of maybe what is or isn't happening here in this complex. All right, we're back to today again, and I noticed that this door looks like it was open when I got here, and this window was broken. And so nobody's told us they moved out, nobody called us or anything like that, and so I peeked in the window, pushed the door open, was yelling a lot, nobody answered, and it sure looks like they moved out. And that's one of the tricky things in a situation like this is, did the tenant move out? Did they not move out? Are they going to get real surprised if I pop in there or peek my head in a window? It's always a little bit nervous trying to figure out the best way to approach this. And we'll see that with some of the other units as well. But once I got in here, I'm like, oh, they've been gone. They're out. Water is not shut off all the way, so I'm glad we came here. It's also October in Colorado, where it can get cold, and if the door's open, if it's not secured, if there's no heat, you can freeze pipes, and that would not be a good thing in a building like this where you freeze pipes and maybe this unit floods and the unit next door floods, and who knows what else happens. You want to make sure that's all good to go. So I shut off the water here to keep that from dripping. Obviously the water is on in this unit for sure, so we want to make sure, yeah, everything is secure and shut and ready for colder temperatures that we may be having soon. Like I said, these are not amazing units, and this is probably actually one that's in better shape than most. That is hot water heat down there that is completely missing the kind of the outside of the heat register. If you ever wonder what the inside looks like after it's been beat up for a while, there you go. That's what it looks like. And yeah, all the windows will need to be replaced at some point. And here is the bathroom. And this is actually one of the nicer bathrooms too, if you can believe that. We did get into one other unit. I'll link to that video before that shows that unit, what it looks like. And then this, I don't remember the ceiling being missing, but maybe it was. I saw all the units when I did my inspection and looked at this property. But you can see that sure looks like a really, really old building set on top of another building. So maybe that was the old train depot up there, and they converted it to apartments, just sitting on kind of a building they framed out right here. So interesting what you see in some of these older buildings. And I've got some pictures of that train depot I'll try and show at the end, although it looks a lot smaller, but it's hard to say from old pictures. So here is that laundry room I was showing you earlier, what it looks like now. They've been taking the washers and dryers, so I have no idea if the washers and dryers were the tenants or the landlords, but there's only one left. They took the weight bench too. Again, not sad, not a awful situation for us to lose those, but there you go. And then these units, I couldn't tell if they were vacant or not. It kind of looked like there might be people living there, but the notes were still on the door. We left them like 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, well, do they know they can take them off? Do they not know? Are they actually vacant? That's a tricky situation. And we would go down to the lower level, and they're both there too. So I'm like, ooh, what's going on? This door was also wide open when I got here, which is our boiler room. And I know the tenants had stored some stuff in here and down there, and I think there was some stuff gone from there as well. So people are definitely moving out, getting their stuff out. But like I said, if we would have done cash for keys, we'd have kind of set dates, more communication, and it would have been a lot easier to handle the situation. So you live and you learn, and then even though you learn some stuff, you sometimes forget it and then learn again, and then you live some more and just keep going in cycles, and eventually, hopefully, you learn more than you live. Maybe. Anyway, here's what that room looked like before 3 weeks ago. And yes, I did have a fire in here before at one point, but the boilers and all the mechanicals were replaced after that. So that's good, but you still need to clean up some of the fire damage there. That's the boiler inspector people who come by every year, so make sure your boiler's safe and working. And then you can see there was more stuff in here before, so they definitely have been getting some of their stuff. So kind of a tricky situation knowing who's there, not there. What we really should do is leave notes on the doors and kind of tape them kind of where the door opens, so we know if somebody opened the door, that note's going to be ripped or tape's going to be ripped, whatever, and we'll have an idea of if someone's actually been there or not. If they haven't been there, then we'll know, okay, they haven't been here for a few days, it's probably vacant. We can go in, secure the property, make sure everything's good. So we will do that, and then head back here and get a look at the other units once we can get into those. And should be exciting getting started on this one. This will be a big project: windows, doors, kitchens, baths, flooring, paint. There's a lot that needs to be done here, and it'll be exciting to see how we can get it rented, how much it rents for, and then eventually, hopefully, it's $1 million plus property after we do all this work and spend quite a bit of money on it. And you'd think with the amount of work and money this would take and the condition it's in, there'd be opportunities like this out there, but it's hard to find even deals like this in Colorado. Even awful dilapidated properties like this are very hard to find and come by. So I still think it's a pretty good deal getting this one, and hopefully it turns out to be that way once we're all done with it. All right, thanks for watching. We'll be back with more updates on this property or other properties, other flips, other businesses coming up soon. Our laundromat remodel is almost done, so that'll be exciting. Once that's completely done, we'll have a full video on that too. And we got to do something with these railings as well. Trying to decide if we should replace the metal or do wood. Metal's expensive, wood's cheap, but metal should last longer, although you can see it still does not last forever. Oh, and I almost forgot. Here are the pictures of the train depot. I actually showed these last time too, but my voiceover got muted for some reason. Don't know what happened there. But again, it's hard to see just how big the depot was, but it sure looks like it's smaller than this building is. But again, without scale or perspective or the exact same picture, like, does that look as big as this? Maybe it is. Guess we'll not really any way to prove it, but the sides, the front kind of do look pretty similar to it. Now, I don't know today's world if it's worth it to pick up a building and move it like this and then stick it on top of another building. That's what they did.